Hello and welcome to another episode of Reseller Information Network. Guys, we're on show number 80. Like official show number 80.
Yeah, we're getting close to that century mark.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we probably long past that because we were listing and loafing long before we were doing a show. But guys, we do appreciate each and every one of you guys for being a part of this and coming and hanging out with us on Tuesdays. For our live stream 9 to 12, but also watching here, commenting, leaving suggestions. If there's anything that you guys would like to hear a little bit more about, our opinions on how to resell and maybe some things that have worked for us, please leave your comments down below. And you can ask questions. We'll be happy to answer best we can. Combined, we do have quite a bit of experience in selling, not as much as some folks. I don't think any of us were in the money order era of doing business.
Leroy was.
Leroy, yeah. Leroy still where he's given us the silent treatment lately. So he's just been on mute a few shows, but he'll be back soon.
Somebody asked today if Leroy was going to talk today.
Yeah, so we keep Leroy here with us in spirit. I actually did speak to Leroy the other day. He is getting closer to getting his place together, is what he told me. So be on the lookout for the return of Leroy. All right, well, look, last week we started talking about some scenarios and selling on eBay. Like, what would you do? And we obviously come from all different places and opinions and mindsets, and we had some comments that I did want to make mention of before we get any further. Some people had differences of opinion and things than what some of us did. We had Nick Picker says, I have honestly had less returns since switching to fee returns, and it is so much less hassle and way less scammers. Then we do look at the it's funny. Silver Fox Finance says returns for the win, sell faster than no return sellers. eBay iNads are 99% buyer favored, same for chargebacks. MSG's Treasures says returns 100%. You sell more with no return sellers, and with free returns, you don't have to worry about negative feedback. I'm actually going to make the switch to 60-day returns because that's what eBay deems as best practice for sellers who offer returns are higher in the search. So obviously we got a difference of opinion. Bro, if a seller calls me after I open a return, because I hate returning things. So if I open a return, it's for a really good reason. And two, I hate talking on the phone with telemarketers, scammers, robocalls all the time. I'm going to be more pissed. LOL, don't call me, please. All right, MSG, we'll make sure we don't call you, okay?
I'll call you.
Yeah. Vintage Sports says, great stuff, guys. I'm in the over the years returns camp. For sure, but everyone finds their best way to handle that kind of stuff. I understand Cernak's policy, even that he is heavy into clothing and shoes. So there you go. Like we said, everybody has a different way of doing things, and it's okay because it's your business. You can operate it how you want to. I always say when people start paying my bills, they can tell me exactly how to do it. But I'm also not against taking suggestions. I really am not. If you have a better mousetrap, I want to know what kind of cheese you're using. But I'll try it. If it doesn't work for me, then I won't pursue it. But I think it's good to figure out your own path. So we're just here to kind of throw up some road signs for you and say, here's some things that work for us. So, all right. So we're going to jump into some more of these scenarios. We'll see if we can get more than 4 done today. Like we originally started out with high hopes of 12, and then we realized that we all like to talk, so we got far less than that. So we'll take them a little slower today. I think there's some easier ones that we might be able to get through a little quicker. First off is suspicious buyer activity. Here's the scenario: you receive a purchase request from a buyer with suspicious behavior. asking to complete the sale outside of eBay, or little to no feedback? What would be your thought process in approaching this?
Well, my thinking is, you got two different scenarios here. What makes it suspicious? Is it low feedback? Well, low feedback isn't suspicious to me. Now, asking outside of eBay instantly, that's a no-no. That's instantly a no-no. And it's like this. To me, my eBay is too important to try to do to get my eBay shut down because I wanted to try to do a off-site transaction. No way. Not on eBay. Now, I have done it on other platforms that don't guard it as heavy, but you use cryptic words and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I wouldn't do that. So, I mean, low feedback. I always say this: low feedback or no feedback. That might be new buyers. That might be new buyers coming to eBay. So it's like this: you pay, I ship. That's the only thing. Now, if they're asking a bunch of questions and stuff like that, that's when I start getting weary. Okay, like, oh, well, is it true to size? And then the dreaded. Well, if I don't like it, can I return it? Now, to kind of go back to last week, yes, I will allow the returns, but I don't want them to know that. I don't want them to be like, oh yeah, sure, wear the boots for a week and then return them. Like I don't want to be like that. But so if anybody asks, returns, I normally just don't even answer it. So that's how I kind of to do that.
What's your thought on suspicious buyer activity?
Every buyer is suspicious in my book.
No.
No, I mean, listen, I'm like Cernock. The whole low feedback, no feedback situation, that's like a thing that's like a myth, like that, like people in like boardrooms, is that what you call them? Chat rooms and bulletin boards, and those people like are all up in arms about, So like it does, like Cernock said, it might be a new buyer. A lot of times too, it might be somebody who's found your item off site, a Google ad or something like that, and that's brought them to eBay, and then that's why they're buying it. So it doesn't really bother me. I mean, in the back of my mind, the only thing I really think about is non-payment, and that happens with people that have tons of feedback too. So it's just like I don't really pay it any mind. I take precautions on everything for everything all the way around. So like that's just one of those things that you kind of have to deal with. And if you think about it on any other site, like Poshmark, you don't see people's feedback who are buyers. Somebody buys something from you on Whatnot, you don't see their feedback as a buyer, So it's like we've kind of gotten that. I feel like that's like old school way of thought in comparison to what it is now. So that doesn't really bother me. Same thing as Cernock said though about like off-site transactions. We do this for a living, so there's no way I'm gonna take that sort of risk in any way, shape, or form. And like the massive questions, like I always tell people that everything I know and can tell you, unless I make a mistake in the listing, everything I know and can tell you, I put in my pictures and I put in my description. I know there's a lot of people out there that do listings and they just put in a one sentence. My descriptions are like novels. Like on some of the sites, like I have to alter my description to fit it because it's over the character limit. So like I go that extra mile to avoid those sort of people sending me questions. And then if it gets to the point where like there's like some sort of, especially because I don't accept returns, if I get to the point where there's some sort of like they're like riding the line, like I don't know, this might not. I'm like, I literally will type them this. This may not be the item for you.
Yeah.
If you are having second thoughts, I think you're probably better off shopping for it from somewhere else. Like, and it's not being rude. It's just I'm trying to save them and me the hassle of going through a process after they make the purchase. If you don't feel comfortable and you're second guessing yourself, I don't want you to buy it. So like, I'll tell them flat out, like in a really respectful way, that maybe you should look somewhere else. This might not be the item for you. And that's basically how I handle it. But I think one thing that we should probably touch on, maybe Eric can touch on this a little bit too, is if you are a new seller on eBay specifically, you are going to get scam messages and scam offers and stuff like that. That's going to happen. So, like, I want you to call them or anything like that.
Yeah, Poshmark is notorious for that.
Yeah.
If you're a new seller and you put in something for $50 to $100, you're gonna get those weird messages.
Depot 2, Grailed, all of those, even Macari. So yeah, just be aware of that. And if you're a new seller, like brand spanking new, and you get something like that, don't hesitate to reach out to somebody that maybe like your mentor or somebody like us or another channel that you may watch and that you trust. And don't be afraid to ask questions about stuff like that. Just don't do anything funky. So like I said, you pay, I ship. It's easy. That's how it is.
Pay, I ship. Yep.
I think the same thing both of you guys have talked about is I'm not worried about the no feedback guys to a degree. I do always kind of look at buyers, especially on high. Like, dude, if you're talking a $20 item, honestly, I do not do a whole lot of investigation about that. If we get up in that $50, $100 range, I'm looking a little closer. If it's high dollar, we're definitely like checking folks before we send and make sure the line of communication is far more clear. What you will find is for me, when I think of suspicious buyers, I think of guys who do like message you with a lot of detailed questions about things. Now, I know that may not seem suspicious to most folks. What I find with those kind of people is they are looking for a reason to either A, get a discount from you or return an item. Like I don't know why they would buy it, simply to return it. Most guys will, like, that are asking a lot of questions, like it will be followed up with, is that the best price you can do in light of blah, 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 right?
Yep.
Or secondly, is those maybe the guys that later on, once they receive the item, well, this scratch was far worse than what I thought. Could you help me out a little bit here? Like that kind of thing. Like we've seen that. I know you guys have. I have. I've had it happen. Sometimes I don't care. Sometimes I do care. Like if it's, if you're talking a lower dollar item, most of the time I'm like, whatever, dude. I don't want it back. It took me 6 months to sell this. Like, let's just let it go. But other times it almost becomes principle if you're annoying for me to just say, nah, just send it back. Like, it's fine. But, it is one of those things. For me, as far as the low to no feedback, do check and see, like, to a degree. If it's followed with messages, just like we've already said, that, hey, I'm trying to get this for blah, blah, blah. Like, can you lower the price to this? And then, those guys more than likely have put that offer out to everybody, so they may cancel on you as well.
What I will say with low or no feedback, the only time I'm suspicious is or you see a lot of times when you're selling hats and the dudes from overseas start hitting you, with all these, they will have low feedback because they do, they do that stuff where,
they're moving it around a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. They're, dude, I got hit with the same offer from the same dude with 3 different accounts. So those are those things to watch out for, because they will make.
And some of them are bots shopping you, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like some of it's that. So
yeah, so just be careful with that too.
all right, let's jump into this next one. Item not as described. That sounds familiar. A buyer claims the item they receive is significantly not as described, and not just an INAD, an SNAD. Item not as described. We know for us, and we'll get into this. Tim just fought one and won it, so it's one of those things. When people say items not as described, Tim, like, just tell them what you did. Like, how did you combat that?
Well, this is the thing: is you have to be sure that what they're claiming is very clear cut. I don't want people to think that I'm just out here winning INADs like John Gotti or anything. You know what I'm saying? I do have a fairly significant winning record against the INAD. I think I'm like 5-1 against INAD career. That's a pretty good career winning percentage, I'd say. So for me, the thing is, once again, anytime we're talking about these sort of scenarios, I preach this, and I preach it for a reason, is you want to take all the precautionary steps in advance so that you don't put yourself in these situations. Now, we all make mistakes. There's no doubt about that. And once again, every platform is going to be different. I think we're specifically talking about eBay here. I recently sold a vintage Nike hat. The buyer opened up an INAD 18 days after the item was received. They said that the item was not the same color as listed. They uploaded a picture of the item that they received. They claimed that the item was mostly black, although it was clearly a gray hat. And then once I uploaded a picture from the listing side by side with the picture that they put up, and it was the exact same color hat, they said that, oh, well, it's dark gray. So eventually I made a mistake in this particular situation because I didn't contact eBay immediately. I waited for it to go to eBay, and this is kind of where I get some mixed reviews from eBay itself. In this particular case, they favored in the buyer's favor initially, which I think is just kind of like an automatic thing. I don't think that you'll ever be able to like beat an INAD without them actually favoring the buyer first. In some cases, you might have to have the item returned to you and then file it. I don't agree in doing that. I think that it's more important to just get it out the way without them even returning it. And so I contacted eBay. Now, some people are like, well, how did you contact eBay? There's a chat option on eBay. And if you can, there's a way that you can get the eBay to contact you through that chat. So then they contacted me. I explained it to them. They had all the evidence on file. And then the person on eBay said, this is, and one of the things is too, is like, if you know that you're right, and it is clearly obvious that the buyer is trying to take advantage of the eBay's return policy, it is vital that when you're fighting this to mention that the buyer is clearly trying to take advantage of eBay's return policy, because eBay doesn't like being taken advantage of. Okay. So when you want to make sure you state that. The representative I spoke to was like, this is clear as day. They're clearly abusing the return policy. They did inform me that next time it would be better if I reached out to them prior to. They also said it's easier when the item is under $40. I think it was either under 40 or under 100, and my item was a $40 item. They said it gets a little trickier when it's above $100. But that is how I fight INADs. If I feel as if, because like I said, I go through these crazy links to make sure that my item is exactly as described. If I feel like there's going to be a discrepancy, like somebody might think something's pink and another person might think it's salmon, I have to put in like, this color is this color, but could be that color. Like I don't want anybody playing no games with me. But there are ways to fight INADs if you clearly feel like you're in the right and the buyer is in the wrong. I've had people say the items have arrived damaged, even though they were sold damaged, and it was in pictures were in the listing. It was in the description, and I've won those INADs. So it's like those sort of things. Like you have to be very. I'm very detail oriented, and I know a lot of people aren't because they think that speed is better and I can list more listings if I take 3 pictures and I put one sentence in the description. Like that's not how you're opening up Pandora's box at that point. So that's kind of how I handle INADs. Now, obviously, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, it's part of doing business," and they'll just take it and relist it. There's nothing wrong with that, I guess. But for me, I'm I'm principle guy. Like off a principle, like. I went through all this process to make sure that this listing was done proper, and then you're going to try and take advantage of me. It's not going to happen on my watch.
Anything different or not?
See, when I get INADs, I haven't gotten one in a while. But usually when that happens, it's like, I'm always like thinking that they're shopping for a partial refund or a partial discount. So I'm like, yo, just return it. Just return it. You don't get to keep this cool thing I just sold to you. Return it. I'll sell it again. And it's kind of like, to me, it's like, all right, like, because eBay's gonna, like you said, push the return. And I just feel like, you know what? You didn't appreciate what I just sold to you. So you return it back and I'm going to sell it to someone else that actually appreciates it. That's how I kind of look at it, where it's like, again, someone's going to open up an INAD. I don't want you having what I sold to you. I don't want you as a customer anymore.
It's a matter of principle.
Yeah, where it's like, I'm sorry, like it should be anything else than item not described. And I usually end up blocking them too after everything's finalized. So I just block it and move on. So that's how I do it.
You done, INAD?
Yep.
All right. So I am the guy who does light listing. Light description. Thank God for the AI description, because prior to that, my description was the same as the title most of the time. And then I did improve it a little bit. For me, everything that I do kind of goes back to the mindset of I buy stuff dirt cheap. So when it sells, it's good and it's great. And if I have a problem coming back, I get upset about INAD, absolutely, because I've even had that conversation with representatives before. Like people that shop on eBay all the time know INAD is the silver bullet for getting a return approved. So like if you do accept free returns, like we talked about last week, if someone types in item not as described, it's coming. It's already there. You can fight it, like Tim said. You can go back. One of the things I have added, like if it's an item that I think may be questionable, what I would encourage you to do is take pictures of any flaws and then put in your description, see photos for full description or see photos for flaws. Or if you know for sure that there's something wrong with it, then definitely do that. Or like, Tim had suggested a while back about like, if like if you're dealing with an electronic piece or something like that, just list parts and parts. It's for parts. So like then when they kind of come back and say, hey, this isn't working, and it's like, well, it's for parts, and we just disclose that. So not every item is going to work. I think a lot of these things do roll together though. If a guy's asked 50 questions and you still shipped him the item, you still sold him the item, and he called back with an INAD, whose fault that is? Yours. You should have just not sent it to him. You should have just said, I'm not going to sell it, bro. Like, sorry, guy. I'm not going to. you're not my customer. Like I'm not gonna sell it to you. Or I'm gonna jack the price up on it till you go away. Like I do weird stuff like that sometimes, just out of. But for us, when we look at these things, it is. I know Tim loves this saying, but it is cost of doing business to a degree. But INAD is something you can have better control. If you are a guy like Tim and you will describe every detail, you still are probably going to get an INAD at some point. Like, even if you do it, because people that are seasoned eBay people, they do know INAD is a way to get a return approved. And then it would require somebody fighting it. Obviously, things change as the dollar amounts change as far as how much I care about it, to be honest. If it's $10-15, I probably ain't going to just whatever, send it back, like Cernox said. If if it's something in the higher dollar range, I have fought INADs myself because I had a guy file one on me, and he did return the item, but he had took part of the item out. It was a speedometer for a Polaris, and it had all the parts that went with it. When he sent it back, I got a Polaris speedometer that had mold growing behind the glass. Like, he had basically took it off, replaced it, and then said item not as described. And then he sent it back, and they did. I fought it. I won it. It was like a $200 item. He sent back all the new loose parts and sent back the old speedometer. So he basically just took the new speedometer, put it in there, and filed item not as described. So what I ended up getting back is I got back all the parts, and then he lost the case. So he still paid for just that. And I actually resold all the loose parts that went with it. Winner for me. One of those things. But yeah, I would tell you, like, for me, what has happened in my life of reselling is it's less ups and downs to a degree. I don't get as ticked off as I used to when people do stuff to me. Like, now I'm just like, yeah, because we know people are people, and Tim has a comment about that. There's a percentile thing that's involved. So
1 in 3.
Yeah, and you could probably add to that there's probably a percentage of people that are that's just the way they are. Like, they're just gonna be a jerk. Like, that's what they do. They're trying to get something off somebody, so just to chalk it up. All right, here we go. We know we've dealt with this as well over the years. Shipping delays. A buyer complains about not receiving their item within the expected time frame. So what do we do with that?
Oh, this one's easy breezy, baby. I have probably the longest shipping processing time of anybody here. I do 3 business day processing time. And so I generally ship before, but it gives me a little bit of cushion just because of my lifestyle and the things that I have going on and my distance to the post office, etc. But if somebody messes me about that, it's just basically like a script at that point. Like, I upload, my tracking numbers get uploaded as soon as it happens. Sometimes you get people that just don't, not sometimes, let me say this, all the time. People don't read, they don't pay attention, nothing. So like and because of Amazon, they expect things to be shipped the next day and all this and that. And so sometimes I have to remind people, I had a guy yesterday message me and was like, hey, since you haven't shipped the item yet, can I cancel the order? Things are a little tight. I was like, I grabbed that card, I packed it up. I printed out the shipping label. I said, unfortunately, your item is on its way to the post office. The tracking number has been uploaded. They were like, okay, cool. So I'm like, basically, like, here we're trying to like be like, hey, where's my damn card? You know what I'm saying? So even though it was like 2 days before it needed to be shipped. So, but you just provide them with a tracking number. Sometimes it happens, like stuff gets lost. I've had a few recently that took a little bit longer than it was supposed to. Like, like a package is going to New York and it ends up in like Wichita, Kansas before it goes to New York. Like, That's beyond your control. You just have to explain to them, like, I dropped off your package at the post office. Here's the tracking. I'll monitor the tracking to make sure things are progressing. If I notice anything unusual outside of the unusualness that is already occurring, I'll make sure to, keep in contact with you, the buyer. And then, that's pretty much all there is to it. Like, once you drop it off at the post office, you uploaded the tracking at the right time, everything's good. And if they file for cancellation, then you re-upload the tracking number. It's just a whole thing. You're going to get people like that, particularly in the Q4. You're going to get that a lot. So just try to be on top of it. Don't be, because it's easy for people to kind of be like a little snippy, with people that ask questions about shipping. I can be obviously real ruthless because I'm a straight shooter, but I just in those situations, you just want to kind of be like, it is what it is. Just don't get too upset with them. Make them feel like you care about them. We should, as businesses, care about our buyers, and even the nasty ones and the impatient ones. But just make sure you reassure them that you've done everything in your power to make sure that the item is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why that kind of end piece. Communication with your buyer is so important. The mail. Knock on wood. We're gonna knock on wood again. The mail has been pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's gotten a lot better, dude. A lot better.
With the whole ground advantage and all that stuff. I mean, I really haven't had an issue. So it's hard for me to kind of, but if any kind of issue, I always try to communicate as much as I can with the buyer, saying, hey, look, tracking, you can see I dropped it off. Here's the day you paid. I dropped it off this day. You can see it's tracking, all that stuff. You'd be like, hey, I've done my part. So it's kind of out of my hands right now. What you can do, what I've done is, tell them like, hey, go and look at it on the USPS website and do the text. Put your number in for the text, alerts for your shipping. And, sometimes that gives them a better, like, oh, okay, like you're on it, not like, oh, well, there's nothing I can do. Like, kind of do those things where they're like, oh, okay, hey, at least this guy is trying to help out with something. So, and I'll tell you what, believe it or not, if you do that texting for updates, sometimes if you have a stuck package, by doing that, it gets it unstuck sometimes. So, do that, do that. I think that information is good to use. When you kind of have a buyer that's like, hey, where is my item? You can be like, hey, look here. And if you want more information, this is how you get the updates for it. So that's how I kind of do it.
Yeah, for me, I mean, obviously, both of what these guys have said. I actually had one just the other day where a package came back to me, just floated around for a while, came back to me. And it said undeliverable address. And the buyer had reached out to me like 2 or 3 times. And I was like, look, I ship to whatever's in my computer. Like, so if you enter your information, I ship it there. If that's not a deliverable address for you, go to the post office and check with them. And also you can file along the lines of what Cernoc's saying. You can ask for tracking. You can also file for a missing package. Like if you're missing something, sometimes it does take a little, what does it say? Squeaky wheel gets the oil. Like sometimes you got to be a little squeaky with those guys. For me, it's a rarity. This isn't listed in the scenarios that we were going to do, but this is just a little sidebar on the shipping note. How many guys have ever had something you shipped and the guy's like, oh, I put in the wrong address. Is there any way you can change this? Now, I have done this both ways. I've changed it for them myself without having them go back through eBay. And you know what happened to me is the guy filed item not received because the tracking showed it went somewhere, but it weren't his address that he had on file. I was like, I actually have had that happen one time. So I learned a lesson, and I decided from here on in, like, dude, if you need to change the address, then we need to cancel the order. We need to reset. We need to get back through. So that's just a little sidebar piece on the whole shipping delay, shipping situation. Like, if you want to protect yourself, make sure you're shipping to the address that they've entered on file. One other little shipping hack: if you're shipping to Puerto Rico, sometimes that address is way too long. You're going to have to cut some of it and move it down to the next line to make it fit just the way it is. So that's a little extra shipping talk.
Yeah, because some of those Puerto Rican addresses, like, it's like long Spanish word, like.
Yeah, you're like, dude, you got like 20 words here. Like, how are they all going to fit?
Yeah.
All right. This next scenario, honestly, I can't say I've never had this happen. I have had it happen one time. Custom issues for international shipping. An international buyer encounters a customs issue or additional fees. I have a feeling where we're headed with this stuff, but we use eBay shipping to international.
Don't care.
Yeah.
Because eBay, listen, I will tell you this, and we don't like to use absolutes here, but if you're not doing eBay international shipping, you may want to look into it.
Yeah.
Okay, because they've made it so easy. It's basically you pay, I ship, I forget about it. Because once your package hits, I think it was around Chicago area now or whatever.
Illinois, yeah. Illinois for us. Like, if you're West Coast, it's somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
it's like, yo, if
hey, they're calling about your international package. So.
Once it hits Illinois, you done.
Yeah.
With everything. No return, loss, customs, VAT, whatever. Nope. You are 100% covered. I've had some weird stuff where it's like, I sent out these hats. Okay, guy bought like 20-something hats. They were all blanks, and it was like $300-$400. And he was in the UK. I sent it. He goes, you know what? These hats just aren't the ones I was looking for. Guess what eBay did? eBay said, okay, you can return it. You know what they told me? And don't worry about anything.
We got you.
So that guy returned $400 worth of product to somewhere that I didn't have. I never got it back, but I kept my money and everything. So it's yeah. So if you're not doing eBay international shipping, this is how you would avoid all those things Eric just mentioned.
You got anything different, Tim?
No, I mean, international shipping that's one of the beauties of it. You just pace. You know what I'm saying? And people listen. I get this sort of comment a lot, not just international shipping. Oh, with the taxes and the fees and the shipping, this and that. It's gonna. I'm like, what do you think? I gotta pay taxes too. I gotta pay fees too. I gotta pay shipping too. You know what I'm saying? So whenever somebody cries to me about stuff like that, I'm like, look, man, I wish I could help you out more, but unfortunately, this is how I make a living. This is how I pay my bills. This is how I feed my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's literally the line that I use all the time. Anytime somebody's like, hey, man, well, can you just do me like this? Do it for me for this price. And I'm like, I got the fees and the taxes and the shipping and the. I'm like, bruh, if you want, I can sit here and we can exchange, things we got to pay for. I guarantee you, I'm going to be right down. We're going to go down a long list, me and you. Okay. So, I just let them know that out front. And that's the cost of doing business, as they say. If you're a buyer, that's the cost of being a buyer. If you want to buy from overseas, you gotta pay the duties. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we go to the Caribbean, we buy the booze. I don't drink, but you buy the booze down there because you ain't gotta pay tax on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, you win some, you lose some, bud. But yeah, international shipping through eBay is fantastic. You don't gotta worry about nada nunca.
Yeah, I can tell you before eBay international shipping and before even global shipping. I mean, you guys were around. Like, we remember what it was. You got the little extra custom form you have to print. You have to go in and fill out this information. Like, I actually had an item that was supposed to go to Saudi Arabia that went to Brazil. Like, I don't know how that even happened, but it went to Brazil. It came back to me. I sold it to the same guy 3 times before it finally got there. So, like, for me, man, now eBay makes it easy. If you want to make it difficult, do your own international shipping, and then you got all kinds of stuff to deal with. For me, I would just as soon say, eBay, thank you so much for coming up with the eBay international shipping program. It is unlocked global shipping for us. Now, do be aware, occasionally people do things slip through the cracks that people are able to buy something that is illegal in their country to be imported. I have had that happen before. And you know what happened? I didn't have to do anything. They took care of it. So, I don't know what happened. I have had occasionally where eBay, like, something got lost in the mail, and then I'll get a little email and said, hey, we took care of this issue on your behalf. Like, it doesn't cost you anything. So if you're not doing eBay international shipping and you're shipping international, good luck, Chuck. Like, you're going to run into some crazy encounters. But otherwise, I'm an advocate for eBay's international shipping.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. We got a couple more, and we'll try to get into. This, I actually had this happen today. Inventory management. You accidentally sell an item that is out of stock, or you can't find it. What do you do?
Well, listen, there's a few different scenarios here. Are we talking? I'll tell you this right now. Etsy, Grailed, Depop, Poshmark, Whatnot, and District. Those 6 platforms, you can be upfront with the buyer. I made a mistake. This listing should not have been listed. It's out of inventory. I apologize. I've issued a full refund. Thank you for your understanding and supporting small business. Done deal, right? Mercari, you can do that, but after you do it a certain amount of times, they will warn you and be like, hey, look, we noticed that you've had to cancel a lot of orders recently. If you got to do what you got to do to get your stuff together, or else we're going to have to, slap you on the wrists one way or another. Okay. So eBay is the worst one that this can happen on. Now, this is because they will put I don't even know what it means, but I guess I feel like I've been told this for so long that I just say it like I even know what it means. But they'll put a strike on your account. What is that? I'll let one of these guys tell you that. I don't even know what that means, but you'll have like a transaction defect rate or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's happened to me a few times. I will tell you, I will not recommend this, but I will tell you because you guys know I'm a straight shooter. I'm transparent. I'm honest. I have used the tactic before where I message the buyer and let them know, hey, this is a situation. I made a mistake. Unfortunately, we do not have this item in stock. The listing should have been removed, but it wasn't. Blah, 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 blah. Is there something else in my store that you would like to replace your order with? And if not, would you like to cancel the order? And then they will say, yes, please cancel the order. So then I can cancel the order and say that the buyer requested to cancel the order and avoid getting a strike.
Yes.
Now, that is a bit, I don't know if this is the right word for this, but that is a bit devious. And I try not to do that, but I have done it before. I think that that's kind of like a loophole in the system. But most of the time, anytime it does happen, I do have that same sort of message. Like I just explained to them, like, look, I apologize that this is a situation. I apologize for any inconveniences. We've issued a full refund and canceled your order. That whole spiel. But yeah, that's you just have to be professional about it. Sometimes there's other ways. I know maybe they'll talk on it, but there's other ways that you can do it to kind of, follow your tracks. But 90% of the time, the stuff that I'm selling, I can't just find easily. So yeah, sometimes you just got to suck it up and be better. That's what I pretty much tell myself.
So it depends on the item. You know what I'm saying? Because I've done it before. Like, to step back, that's the worst feeling in the world. You got 5 items to pack, 10 items to pack, and that one item, you're like, where is this? What did I do with it? And then you start going through your brain, all this stuff. It's the worst. Because with Vendu, now it has like where it automatically takes it down. But that's a relatively new feature that's been with us like 6 to 9 months. Where, sometimes back in the day, I'd forget to take stuff off from Vendu, which is still riding in my Vendu, unbeknownst to me that I don't have this item anymore. I've gone through and checked it, but, some things still slip out. Now, if you're on Poshmark, just cancel it. Easy. You ain't gotta worry about, your account health or anything like that. Because I feel like they really don't care. Same thing with Macari, same thing with Grail. Everything except eBay. You ain't gotta play the eBay dance around game to cancel an order. Now, there's, like I said, it depends on what it is. I have actually bought off of another website or another eBay seller and have sent those items just because it's like, okay, I got a really, good deal on this. I remember one time, now this was cross platforms though, I sold a $120 pair of boots on Poshmark. I'm like, yeah. Well, when I went to go find them, I'm like, oh no, Chris, you sold these on Whatnot a year ago in your boot sale. You dummy. But I sold it for $125. So I went to eBay, typed in, found the exact same pair in the exact same size, brand new in the box for $22. So I purchased that, put their information in there and sent them that. I mean, there's ways of doing it rather than canceling. Sometimes to save the sale, you might see if you can find it on Amazon. You might see to where you still make the sale, make the customer happy. But in the end, if like Tim said, I will send out a message if I've exhausted everything that I've done. I'll send them a message and say, hey, blah blah blah. Just be honest and say, if you do not have your item, if you would like me to cancel the order, I can definitely do that. And if they come back and said yes, I will say buyer asked to cancel, because technically you asked him if it's okay to cancel, and he said yes. Buyer asked to cancel. So it's one of those things. I never put out of stock. I never put anything else. Now, here's the thing. Do not just, I know there was some YouTubers back in the day that'd be like, oh, just put something to do with their mailing address. That don't work anymore. Because you cancel an item and say, oh, the mailing address, guess what? They get you with negative feedback, and there's nothing you can do. Okay? So just be, be aware of that. But like I said, the best thing you can do with a lot of these situations is get a hold of the buyer and start the communication that way.
Full transparency. There's lots of things you can do. Lots of things I have done that I would not recommend, to be honest. And honestly, I really had to go back and, like today, so I sold an item that was out of stock because I sold it on One Stop Shop. I actually sold the whole lot of them on One Stop Shop. And so when I saw it come through as a sale, I was like, ooh, maybe I kept a couple. And I went out there to look, and no, I did not. So I was out of stock of that item, and I looked around to see if it happened to be somebody that I sold them to had them listed. They either do not, or they don't have them listed correctly at the right size. Because I was like, man, I'm looking at it going, I don't see them out here. And the ones I did see were like $25 more than what mine was sold for. So I'm not going to take a double bath.
Yeah.
So honestly, I just canceled the order. I said, sorry, out of stock.
Yeah.
I can tell you I have done shadier things in my past. Like print a ticket and send another different item to that person. Now, I would not recommend that. I don't endorse that or condone. I actually, it is something I've done in the past, and it usually works out with you having to refund them anyway. And basically, you just give them a gift of, here, keep this item.
Yeah.
I'm sorry this happened, that kind of thing. But I would say, reach out to your buyer. A lot of problems can be solved with communication, to be honest.
100%.
Like if you're communication and you're upfront with people, are there some people that are going to be jerks? Absolutely, there is. But the most straight up thing you can do is just be honest and say, look, here's what happened. Like, I've got a bunch of items in inventory. Somehow or another, this thing slipped through the crack.
Uh-huh.
And, I sell on multiple platforms, like whatever, just, and most people are understanding. There are a few people that aren't. And that's just the way it is in the world anyway. So as much as it's up to you, I would say do the right thing by your buyer. And eBay does put restrictions. Item defects are transaction defects is what they call it. You get a certain percentage, or you get lowered standard. Like you'll go from, being top rated to above standard to below standard. Like, if you continue to have defect. But like a lot of things, I mean, do your part. Do what, as much as up to you, do your part, and it shouldn't be that tough. You do have a couple more, but I don't think we'll get into them. We'll save you. I actually have like 3 more, so we'll save them for next time.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah, so 3-part series here on what would you do. In the meantime, I'm going to let Tim take a few deep cleansing breaths so that he can get into. Guys, we have a bunch of channel members. I do once again want to say a huge shout out to Walter Tilton. Walter Tilton has sponsored 15 channel members at this point.
Walter, you're the man. You're a maniac, Walter. We love you.
So you guys that are channel members, you can give a huge shout out to Mr. Walter Tilton. We thank you so much for being here, and each and every one of you, we do thank you. So we're gonna let Tim get a little. He's getting a little.
Did
ready.
you add all the new ones?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And we're gonna run at double speed.
Auctioneer style, Tim. Auctioneer style. You ready?
That's not very double speed, but okay. Hold on, I had ate some pasta salad.
I gave you a bouncy beat.
Thank you to AZ Katsu, Simply Shenanigans, Shanna, Diane Matthews, our very own Blood, Sweat, and Cell, Trash Cat Rescue, New England, Betty Boo, Joe Deals, Old School Picker, Vintage Sport Flips, Charities, Terrific Finds, Kathleen the Fernway Flipper, Ohio Pickers, Annette and Frank. Rudely Retro Absolute Finds, Des Hardy, Heather Peddler, James Steinbreaker, Old Pass, High Plains Flipper, the one, the only Mr. Sir Walter Tilton, Black Sheep Society, Deaf Pile Picker, Mark Rowlands, Tracer J's Trading, Aaron Vaughn, Central Iowa Picker, Wiggle Room 9, Buck Mountain Barn, Pinjo Picker, Trash to Cash, Mayberry Picker, Bluegrass Picker, Miss All Right With Me, Kent Daigle, Miss Trading Post Picker, Jasmine, One Man's Trash, Trashy Panda, Savage PG, Lindsay Deanne, Victor Echo Coins, CK Postcards, Sentimental Connection, Silverhair Stacker, Amy Elrod, and Wes Smith to close us out. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again to all our channel members. We do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys for coming and hang out with us on Tuesdays. We do appreciate all y'all. I'm not sure exactly when we're dropping this, but I'm running a comic show on One Stop Friday night. So if you're not there and you missed it, too bad. We'll catch you next time. You missed out. You missed out. I'm telling you. If we, but hey, there's good news. I have more comics, so just stick around. We are looking to do a hat show. We were hoping to pull it off this weekend, but I don't think it's gonna pan out. So we will be updated when this hat show finally does roll out. You guys will not want to miss it. I can tell you, we're stocking and stacking right now. So we will see you in that. Sir, not.
Hey, we might be doing something this weekend too, but I don't know yet. So, and it's local, so none of y'all would know. None of y'all come visit me anyway, so there might be a little vintage pop-up at the flea market.
Hey, you know what? It sounds like a great opportunity to do a little one-stop shop around.
Might be.
That sounds like a great opportunity.
Watch on Saturday. You may. We got a lot of moving parts right now with that, so we will see what happens. But yeah, that's what I have planned for this weekend. The rest of the week, taking care of the kids, feeding them. They're eating me out of house at home. So if you want to send a couple $2 for the kids, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
feed the children. Sir, not
right.
Yeah,
hopefully y'all like this little series of the back and forth questions. If y'all have good questions like this that Eric's asking that you want answered, drop them down in the comments below so we can take a look at them. But yeah, everyone else have a great weekend.
All right, Tim, take us out.
Yeah, I'll be at Chantilly Sports Card show Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Also have some whatnots coming up as well. But most importantly, we want to thank you guys for all the love and support. Thank you to everybody for tuning in on Tuesdays. Make sure you guys check out the links in the description below. Come join us at One Stop Shop. Just come check me out on Over the Years. Follow us on Instagram. We're working on some things. We're going to have some fun. It's going to be a wild and wet summer. But yeah, we will. Thank you guys for being here with us. We hope that we're helping you. That's always been our main goal. So hopefully we're helping you. And like Sarnak said, most importantly, please drop questions and comments. Give us some things you want to hear us talk about, because we're not here to talk about what we want to talk about. We're here to talk about what you guys want us to talk about. And most importantly, don't forget to tell a friend about RIN Reseller Information Network.